So, welcome back to another Half and Half Scarf football podcast with me, Nick, and my mate Dom. Thanks as ever for your support. It's always very much appreciated. And we're already at episode 25, and that's a quarter of a century that we've got to with content coming out every week. So it's a labour of love on our part, but we're doing it because we enjoy it, and we're doing it. We're also getting some fantastic feedback, which we genuinely appreciate, both of us. Episode 25, we've chosen a subject that's really rankled with Dom and I, and probably rankled with a lot of football fans. It's another FIFA and world football disgrace about everything that's wrong with the modern game. But we are going to start more with a bit of a celebration than anything. But before we do that, Dom, welcome back to another Half an Hour Scout Football podcast.
Yeah, cheers, mate. I can't believe it's episode 25. Andy, I can't believe it's episode 25, mate. We've got there half a century. It's come around really fast, mate. But to echo what you just said, loving doing it, loving the content we're coming up with. Lots more to come, everyone. And yeah, thanks for your support. It's the numbers are growing, we're getting some good traction, and yeah, loving every minute of it.
Let's do the shirts quickly. I've got a piece of merch on. It's just a Borough plain black t-shirt with just the Borough Middlesbrough Football Club on it, and I quite like it. It's plain, it's simple. I don't wear it on match days, but I wear it with pride on non-match days. And long may that continue. That's the same shirt you had on last week, but it's got a white collar instead of a yellow collar, mate. It's exactly the same shirt. It's just
It's
Umbro instead of
yeah,
Le Coq
it's
Sportif or whatever it was, wasn't it?
Yeah. It's I just literally grabbed two this morning. Didn't really give much thought to it, and this is the two that I was just looking at it then to remind myself which one it was. 2008-9 season. Only memorable because we got to the FA Cup final and lost to Chelsea. So
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, but again, not the nicest kits now. I look back on them because they just got really massive badges and huge sponsors, and
There.
it's nice digging a lot of these kits out and looking at them and suddenly thinking,
What was
just
I
would not
thinking?
like it. Yeah, what was I thinking? Yeah.
Okay. Well, moving on, because that's just for our YouTube watchers. And, we get as many YouTube watchers as we do people listening and downloading across the podcast platform. So we really appreciate that and hope you enjoy our choice of garb on a weekly basis. So we've got a few more to get through that haven't worn yet. Maybe a couple of that might not get close to wearing because we'll see how they fit in going forward. They shrink a lot, though, when you leave them for nothing. Anyway, moving on. So today we talk about FIFA, a World Cup disgrace, world football disgrace, the usual. This lot are probably the least compliant, least professional, and I dare say abjectly corrupt organisation to run an organisation on a global scale than there's ever been. And I think this lot who are in power now, they almost make you want to wish for the days back of bloody Sepp Blatter because, he was clearly outwardly and upwardly and clearly proud to revel in his notoriety. This lot are just sly, sneaky, doing things by the back door for their own benefit, and we're going to cover that in some detail. Am I right in that's where we're thinking for this one? We're going to start
Yeah.
with some celebration, but we're going to get to that big point. I don't think anyone listening to this podcast or watching this podcast will be sitting there and thinking, "Oh, you're wrong there. FIFA are really good. FIFA are really, really, really nice, organised. Doing it altruistically for the good of football. They're just a money grabbing set of bastards."
They're poison, pure poison. And if anyone thinks differently, please do comment so that I can have an interesting conversation with you because they're just horribly and blatantly bent, and they're doing it in plain sight. And sadly, they're doing it with probably complicit support of every governing body in world football of their respective countries.
Yeah,
Because if they had any credence and respect and wanted the integrity of the game, they'd speak up. But sadly, FIFA, and it's beyond me why they're so powerful that they can get away with murder. But really, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, fan power counts for everything. If fans suddenly decided enough's enough, you're wrong, we're not going to put up with this, and they walked away, FIFA would be dead overnight. Simple as that. And
mm.
sadly, fans won't do it. Fans will still keep buying these ridiculously inflated ticket prices. So you're paying into this, ladies and gentlemen, if you're doing this.
Yeah. We'll come to that shortly. That's the crux of this of the podcast episode today, 25. But we are going to start with celebration. We're going to start with celebration of football. We're going to start with celebration. I'm not sure I really want to celebrate England qualifying for the World Cup, because you'd have to be Stevie Wonder in a coal cellar, played against Ray Charles in a coal cellar, not to have qualified from the group that we were given. So yes, brilliant. We qualified unbeaten, with maximum points, etc., etc. I'd like to celebrate Norway doing just that. By the way, in their group, Norway looked like an absolute belter of a team to watch. The number of goals they've scored, they're making Coventry City look quiet, aren't they? In the Championship level, the Norway scoring goals for fun, but when you look at the team and who's leading the front line, then you'd expect that a little bit. But Norway, let's celebrate Norway. Celebrate England, yeah, we're there, but we'd expect to get there. If we weren't there, that would be an absolute disgrace. But also, let's celebrate the Scotland game that made them qualify, not through a playoff, but by rights. That game against Denmark was a joy to behold. Now, I'm saying that as an Englishman, and I know that a lot of Scottish fans have got the support anyone but England mentality, and you put a flag outside for every team that we play against in any tournament. And you know what? If that's you being small-minded and bitter, that's entirely up to you. But I'm delighted that Scotland qualified, because I'm delighted the fact that they'll bring something to the party. But let's go back to the game a couple of weeks ago, Dom. What a delight for football that was.
That game will live long in the memory, mate. And I posted as such on numerous platforms of how elated I was. I have skin in the game. I was born in England. I'm English, but I'm of Scots-Irish heritage, and on my mum's side, I'm Scottish all day long. So I was watching that game like as pent up as anyone else. I probably don't have granted, I probably don't have as much skin in the game as true full out Scots, but that game had everything. And the Scots openly admitted they didn't play well, and they didn't.
No.
And in fairness, John McGinn sold the ref a kipper getting that Denmark player sent off, because it wasn't even a foul. So they had some very, very good luck there getting down to 10 men. But do you know what? Let's face it, when it got to 2-2 and Denmark got that goal back 4 minutes after Scotland had scored to get 2-1, and it looked like they might have won it. The next, 15 minutes or so was just something else. And what I loved about it as well was just the sheer joy in the commentary. I love unbiased commentary. I think it's a big part of football. I love it when you get commentary and they're unashamedly wanting their team to and afterwards, mate, after the game, I went back and someone said to me, go back and listen to the radio commentary of it. Well, Alistair Lamont, take a bow, you young man, because that was something else. It made me tingle all over again watching it with his commentary. But it was just to win a game like that, they were up against it. At 2-2, I was thinking, do you know what? I was strangely thinking there's more in this game to come. There just is. It's the way it's going. But you do have a bit of doubt, don't you?
I thought at 2-2, pendulum had swung to Denmark, and I thought this is going to be plucky Scotland, so close, like they've been in every World Cup qualifying group and European qualifying group ever. When they get to the finals, they've never got out the group stage, usually because of bad luck or something, And I just thought to myself, oh, it's happened again. The quality of the 3 Scotland goals, though, well, 4 Scotland goals, but three of them were sensational. McTominay. Oh, by the way, Man United, you need a really good central midfielder, don't you? I don't know where you might find one. Oh, you might find one in Napoli. He's called Scott McTominay. Oh, what happened to him? Yeah, you sold him for next to nothing, or you let him go on a free. I can't remember which way it was. Scott McTominay was sensational. What a goal! The goal from the third one that was just passed in from Tierney, passed into the sort of half roof of the net, was just a thing of beauty. Imagine being behind that in the stadium as it left his foot, knowing it's going in the top corner. And he just let the ball do the work. He didn't even belt it, did he?
He did. It sat up perfectly
sensational.
And when you watch the slow motion of it, it was whiskered away from hitting the Denmark defender's head. It was that close to kind of hitting his head and going completely skew. So it was literally perfect on every level. And
correct me if I'm wrong though, Dom. Did it skim the underside of the bar? Because I always think that makes it even. I think it skimmed the underside of the bar and went in, didn't it? I think.
No,
Did
I
it
don't think
not?
it
Oh
did.
no, okay. Because I love a goal that skims the underside of the bar. I think it adds a
No,
little bit of bit
no.
of
It's it,
value.
it's
So
it literally parted the hair of the Denmark defender, and it was
yeah,
that close to it bouncing off his head and going out. I was a bit like you at 2-2. I was thinking you'd have to favour Denmark because after 4 minutes they've equalised with 10 men. But there was part of me thinking this has suddenly come alive. This game, you've got two
oh yeah,
goals in 4 minutes, and I was thinking there's more to this. And let's face it, as I mentioned, Scotland were lucky that that guy got sent off. But Denmark's penalty for the equaliser at 1-1 wasn't a pen. So
soft.
it was soft. But then that fourth goal was just astonishing. Kenny McLean, take a bow, son. That was
Yeah.
wonderful. I mean, people were thinking, what's he going to do? What's he going to do? And you could see in his head, he was thinking, do I just hold on to it and then just start moving? And then you could see he was seeing, and on the camera angle, you couldn't see that Schmeichel was off his line until they panned
No,
out, but he hit it. I mean, you couldn't hit it more perfect, could you? And the roof went off. It was
I I
wonderful.
I guarantee the guy who sits behind me at Middlesbrough would have been screaming, "Take it into the corner! Take it into the
Yeah,
corner! Take it into the corner!"
yeah,
And then even when he scored, the guy behind me at Middlesbrough would have gone, "Fucking idiot," you know.
yeah,
But because it's like literally it was the dying embers of a game where they had to not concede to get a draw, otherwise they'd gone through.
yeah,
So right, let's celebrate Scotland going through by rights and winning a group, and therefore they're not going through the playoff lottery. But let's talk about the playoff lottery. Wales, North Macedonia. I'm not being funny. Big fan of what they're doing down there with Craig Bellamy. I like the way he tries to play football. I like his. We talked about in a previous pod about the fact of his integrity of saying, "I want to get Wales to a World Cup. I'm here for the job. I'm not looking at anything else. My stock's rising, but I don't care." They smashed North Macedonia on the night, and it's put them in a really good position to play the playoffs. Also in the playoffs, Northern Ireland with a great performance across the whole of their qualifying group,
yeah.
and Republic of Ireland, Troy Parrott, man, Troy Parrott, right? He was sold by Spurs to AZ Alkmaar for 17 million quid. Now in the LinkedIn group, one of the guys, I think it was Laurie Cole. It might not have been Laurie. I'm sorry if you're listening. It wasn't you, but it was a Spurs fan. Said, "Why did we let Troy Parrott go?" And my response was, he went on loan to various teams and didn't tear any trees up, but in League Two, League One, and the Championship. So as Spurs, you get 17 million from you take the money. And his counter argument was, Harry Kane did the same, but look what happened to him. Now Troy Parrott has scored goals for fun at Alkmaar, but he scored a hat trick, didn't he, on the night? And
Yeah.
again, the commentary, the Irish commentary for that third
It's
goal
insane,
is
wasn't it?
sensational, sensational. So Wales, brilliant, Northern Ireland, brilliant, and Republic of Ireland, brilliant. Sadly, one of Wales or Northern Ireland won't make it because they are potentially scheduled to play each other. Tell us
Yeah,
about the playoffs, Dom. You've got the playoff information
I
there.
have. So Northern Ireland will be playing away to Italy, which you would say is tough, but you'll come to Italy in a minute, so it
I
might not
will.
be as tough as people think.
Yeah.
Wales are at home to Bosnia, so if both of those are successful, they play each other. So unfortunately, one of them will be by the wayside. Um, I think on paper it would be a hard one, but I'd probably favour Wales over Northern Ireland on that one.
Yeah. Squad
But
depth.
squad depth, but that would be a hell of a game to watch. So I'll be watching that with bated breath because that's a really good playoff. Republic of Ireland are away to Czech Republic, or Czechia as they're now known, I think it is.
Yeah.
The winner will host Denmark or North Macedonia. So lots of incentive there for Republic of Ireland to win that one because they'll have a home draw, which would be, yeah, that'll be brilliant. That'll be
Tough,
huge.
tough route that though for them, isn't it?
Tough
When you talk
route,
about
yeah,
Czechia, they're always there or thereabouts, aren't they?
yeah,
You know what they class as? They class as the classic 1980s tough Eastern European team. Like tough to
yeah,
beat. When
really,
in the All European Cup, when Liverpool would draw someone away from the Eastern Bloc and say, yeah, it's a tough Eastern European team. Czechia are going to be like that for the Republic of Ireland. But you know
Yeah,
what? Go with no fear and get someone at your home ground for the. And actually, if
absolutely.
you talk about Croke Park or you're talking about somewhere else in Dublin, under the lights against whoever in March, they're going to
It'll
be
be
up for that,
brilliant.
aren't they? Yeah,
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 and yeah, I think they'll be. I think they'd be probably no disrespect, but I think they'll be hoping if they get through it to get North Macedonia. But I suspect they might get Denmark. Although
yeah.
Denmark weren't brilliant against Scotland, I have to
No,
say. So
no.
it's hard to call that one. So yeah, home nations have got a really good chance of getting two out of the three in
Yeah,
the playoffs. And how good would that be? England,
excellent.
Scotland, and two more joining the party. And by the way, the Scots will bring the party, which will be amazing.
And going back to episode 24, um, if they draw each other, England, Scotland, that's a derby.
That is, yeah, yes. Can you imagine that? That would be fabulous. But just
Yeah,
having them all there
yeah,
would be wonderful. It would make the World Cup something. It'd add a bit of spice to the World Cup, which is already leaving a sour taste in our mouths for various
yeah.
reasons. But hopefully,
Which
when
we're
the
going to come
football,
on to.
which we're going to come to, but hopefully when the football starts, we'll just try and enjoy the football.
I've already had a hats off to Norway. You know, they've qualified, the only other European team to qualify with full maximum points. And Christ Almighty, some of the goals they've scored for fun.
Yeah,
Rob, my son, reckons, he said you wouldn't mind having a bet on Norway to win the World Cup. I mean, that's a bit far, but Denmark won the Euros in 1992, didn't they? But
yeah.
Denmark to go deep might not be a bad idea. You know, they're scoring goals for fun and they're pretty solid at the back. So,
Norway, yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
Norway. Now,
I mean, yeah, Denmark, and back in '92, everyone remember Denmark came in to replace Yugoslavia because of the war that was going on at the time. So they hadn't even qualified and came in and won the tournament. So
yeah, so it
yeah,
does happen.
does
And
happen.
Greece won the
Two,
Euros in 2004,
2004,
was it? Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
beat
So
Portugal, if I remember rightly.
they beat
Yeah,
France in the semis.
yeah, and Portugal are an astonishing team. So it
Yeah,
does happen. It
yeah.
just
There's me outside bet from Rob. If you win and you win big money, Rob will take a share of it, my lad. Anyway, the other ones I want to celebrate. Three international teams I want to celebrate. Cape Verde. Oh, I've been to Cape Verde on holiday twice, right? It's the size of God knows. It's probably the size of Luton. It's dead small. I mean, Cape Verde, brilliant, and that's a great. You know, they've
yeah,
gone through the African qualification group and done really, really well, and they deserve to be there. Haiti. I mean,
yeah,
they don't even play the games in Haiti because of obviously public unrest
yeah,
and corruption and gang warfare in Port-au-Prince and all that kind of stuff. They play their games in Miami. Obviously,
yeah,
there's a big Haitian community in Miami as well, but everything they've had is an away game. They're still qualified, and they qualified. Funny enough, their game they won qualification in, they were playing at home in Curacao, and
yeah,
Curacao were playing away in Jamaica and qualified against Jamaica, who were given a last minute penalty which would have put Jamaica through if they'd scored, and VAR chalked it off. Now, you're talking about fine margins and Curacao, and I'll say this because Sonji Hansen, who plays for Middlesbrough, plays for Curacao, and they've had a 5 year plan to get to qualification for the World Cup. You know, with predominantly Dutch based
yeah,
and Dutch born players, and they're a tiny nation, as are Haiti, as are Cape Verde. And you know, good luck to them. But it does bring me on to the starting point for what the purpose of this podcast is about, which is FIFA, sort of greed and corruption or whatever it might be. Now, 48 teams. I'm not being funny, but I don't really want to sit and watch Curacao play Cape Verde in a qualifying match. I also don't care that they're going to be playing dozens and dozens of qualifying rounds just to get rid of 16 teams. Actually, it's not even 16 teams. I think they're going to get rid of about 8 teams in total. And then they're going to start playing a second league phase. It's just about, this World Cup is going to be inundated with non-event games that mean nothing because it's about money. And it's only when it gets to the last 32, the last 16, the last 8, which you're going to come on to in a second anyway, that it starts to get interesting. but it won't get interesting because of seeding, which we're going to touch on. But
Yeah.
before we do that, mate, I've got to ask you a question. Have you ever heard of a probation period for someone in football who will get away with a red card, but only if they don't do it again in the next two games? I've never heard of that before, mate.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it, how it happens to be Ronaldo, and it's funny how he happens to have just made a trip to the White House to buzz and buddy with Donald Trump, and then it's funny how you know Donald Trump and Infantino are best buddies all of a sudden, and all of a sudden, miraculously, FIFA suddenly start quoting this mysterious Article 27. Who knew? And Article 27 is so he now gets the last two games on a 1 year probation. But if he
Yeah,
does anything wrong, he'll have his wrists slapped and he'll be made to play those games. But no, just because it's Ronaldo and just because that'll generate more money for FIFA, they'll just conveniently put that aside and let him play. So what was the point in giving him the ban in the first place then? If you're just going to rescind it, it's just and I was reading a really
no,
good
no, no, no,
article
no,
about it.
Dom. It wasn't rescinded. They've changed the rules. It's a
Oh, sorry,
different
yes,
thing,
it's not
mate. They've
rescinded. They've changed the
changed the
rules. Yes,
rules.
let's make it clear that they've subtly changed. Well, they'll argue that that article was always there and it's in their
Mm,
discretion to do it. But it's like, well, it's funny how you've never done it before, though, is it? You've
never.
never done it before, and there's no reason to do it. And then you've got Roberto Martinez coming out. I mean, Roberto, I'm sorry, you're a lovely fella, and you still respect Everton Football Club. You speak about us highly, and you articulate yourself well. But international manager, mate. You should have won the World Cup with Belgium hands down, and you only gave yourself a good record because you had astonishing players at your disposal. How you got the Portugal job, I do not know. But you are married to Ronaldo. I mean, there's so many other players that you should be playing, but you still religiously play Cristiano. And apparently, in your words, well, he was being hassled all game by these players. And if you look at it from a certain angle, it's not that harsh, really. Well, hang on a second. It clearly was because he got the ban. So the
Yeah.
fact that he got the ban, that's no excuse for it to be rescinded. So, come on, grow a set of
Was
balls, Roberto, please.
was the ban for violent conduct as well? Because that's what the
That's what
charge
it was for.
was.
Yeah, exactly. Do you know what? It's just. I read this in the Daily Mail, and yeah, please don't shout me, everyone. I was only reading the Daily Mail because my mum gets the Daily Mail, and we will say no more about it. But it was a really
Please,
interesting
please
article.
don't.
Please
Please
don't.
don't.
Please don't. But it was a really interesting article by Ian Ladyman in the Mail. So I'm not taking credit for this. He's done all the research into the article, but it resonated with me, and I agreed wholeheartedly with all of it. Because basically, what it's doing is it's just saying, let's change the rules because it's Ronaldo, and
Yeah.
Ronaldo will get bums on seats. He'll generate money, and if it's generating money, well, we'll make money because we're FIFA, and that's all we care about. We don't give a shit about the game. We just give a shit
No.
about giving people Ronaldo. A bit like at the Club World Cup, where mysteriously Inter Miami got into the tournament when just so everyone could see Messi when they shouldn't have been in the tournament at all, and it's an absolute disgrace and a bit of an embarrassment, really.
Yeah.
But Ian Leniman made a really, really interesting point. He was saying, well, so what about Moses Caicedo of Ecuador, and what about Nicolas Otamendi of Argentina? So they're in exactly the same position with their suspensions. And FIFA made reference that we've also done this because he's never got sent off before and his record's impeccable. Well, Moses Caicedo's been playing for Ecuador for 6 years now, and it was his first sending off. And
Yeah.
similar to Otamendi, I think that was his first sending off offence. And he's got an impeccable record. He's been playing for Argentina for more than that time. So it's the same principle. So why aren't there suspensions being? And are you telling me that Ecuador really don't need Caicedo? Absolutely, they do.
Yeah.
He's one of their main players, but he won't play. But Ronaldo will. It's
He's the thing
such
as well.
enormity.
He's the thing with Otamendi and Caicedo. They play in more combative positions, so it's an absolute credit to them that they
Yeah,
haven't had any, sendings off in their football careers
absolutely.
internationally. But of course, Ronaldo will sell tickets, And Ronaldo, funny enough, did you say he's been to the White House and he's a friend of Trump, who's also a friend of Infantino? That must surely be a coincidence, Dom. I can't
I
believe
think
those.
it is. I think it
I
is,
can't believe
mate.
that
Yeah.
triangle. I can't believe that triangle is linked. Surely not. Surely not. I don't know
Yeah.
what you're suggesting.
Yeah, but Ronaldo wants to get into politics, though. He's all about world peace, apparently. Jesus Christ. I mean, honest to God. I mean, I think that's wrong in itself, mate, really. That before a World Cup, you've got to play like Ronaldo, who's hobnobbing with billionaires. They were at
Yeah.
meetings and parties and stuff, all, because he's a billionaire himself now. And it's like, how far removed? Yes, he's a glorious footballer. Yes, he might be a lovely man. Yes, I don't know because I don't know the guy. But really, Ronaldo, if you've got any integrity at all, stay out of politics, stay out of
Yeah.
hobnobbing at the White House, stay out of parties with billionaires before the World Cup starts. And oh, isn't it funny how mysteriously you now get your suspension rescinded, and yet other
No,
teams
no,
who
no,
really
no,
need their
no, no, no,
players more,
Dom,
not
Dom, I'll say,
rescinded.
Dom,
Sorry,
not
I keep saying
rescinded.
this, not rescinded. The rules have been changed. Article 27, everyone, make a note of it. Article 27 in the FIFA rule book, which has never been used before,
Ever.
ever.
Okay.
But, but,
Now,
but you're telling me that Casado can't play and get his rescinded, changed, and the rules are not amended, and whose teams and countries need them more, basically.
and he's well, yeah, but they're not bums on seats players, either, particularly Caicedo might be, I don't know, but Otamendi probably not. Now, my other concern about this is the hobnobbing at that level. So let's assume Ronaldo has another hissy fit because he is a bit of a prima donna. He has a hissy fit in one of the games in the World Cup, right? And let's say he leaves his leg in. Let's say he throws his elbow. Let's say whatever it might be. You can almost guarantee Ronaldo would have to take a baseball bat to someone to get a booking or a sending off in the World Cup, because Infantino, you're not telling me he's not saying to the referees, special treatment for this guy. He's the face of the World Cup. He's the guy we want in the later stages.
Yeah,
He's the poster boy, even though he's not a boy. But so please treat him differently. There's the first integrity thing. Second integrity thing is Rule Article 27. It's just an absolute disgrace. I'm fuming about it, and I don't really give a shit about the World Cup until it gets here, really. And I don't give a shit about Portugal. I'm not bothered about Ronaldo. I just think treating someone differently and special because of who they are, because of who they know, it's just the slippery slope to an absolutely corrupt dealing. I can almost guarantee that Ronaldo can get away with murder in that World Cup and not be sanctioned for it, sent off, booked, or whatever it might be, because of who he knows. And you're not telling me Infantino won't be saying to the referees, "Do as I tell you, or you be going home in the round of 32,"
yeah,
because
you'd be blacklisted. You'd be
there's
blacklisted, and it's horrible that we both think that, mate, and it's horrible that we have to kind of put it out there and that it's even in our heads. But sadly, that probably will happen. But also, what's also sad is it probably doesn't need to happen because these players get preferential treatment anyway, because referees do treat them differently most of the
mm,
time anyway. But
mm,
you're right, there will be something fed down that makes sure that this doesn't happen because it'll make us look stupid if we suddenly have to enforce this again. And it'd be absolutely hilarious if it was. I'd literally, I think I'd die laughing, to be honest, if it happened, because it would
yeah.
just be so funny. Anything that makes FIFA look bad and embarrasses them is all right by me, to be honest.
And me, and me. I want to go back. I forgot to do this at the time. You mentioned I was going to talk about Italy earlier. So Italy are playing uh,
Yes, of course, yeah,
Northern
yeah,
Ireland in the qualifier. So I apologise, it's slightly out of sequence. And the reason I want to say this is on LinkedIn, there's a guy called Pellegrino Riccardi who posted a little while ago. Italy football collapse, a leadership and culture warning for every organisation. Norway won 4-1 at the San Siro. I mean, 4-1 at the San Siro is an impressive performance. I've already mentioned them. The deeper story isn't about football, it's about culture, leadership, organisational behaviour. Italian football is collapsing for reasons that will sound familiar to anyone working in a traditional, risk-averse organisation. They don't invest in youth, high uncertainty about who's in charge and the leadership process. Young talent shines early, then doesn't get developed. Insularity killing innovation. Few Italian players playing abroad and broadening their horizons. And a predictable decline. This could be the third World Cup in a row that Italy failed to qualify. Now, growing up as I was in the 70s, England failed to qualify in 74 and 78, having won the World Cup in 66, and potentially could have got to the final at least if they got it right in 70. So to go from that decline of 66 and 70 to being probably the best team in the world in 66, because we won the title, and one of the top 3 or 4 teams in 1970 to not qualify in 74, not qualify in 78, I still remember the unbelievable sort of backlash on that when Poland scored at Wembley and we couldn't beat them for the qualifying sort of process. For Italy, who are giants of the game, who are passionate beyond belief about football, and it's a hotbed of football club-wise, to not get to 3 World Cups in a row potentially, oh my God, you look at it and go, that is just astonishing. And if you're an Italian,
Should it? It shouldn't be happening. Not in Italy. Not
no,
that. And I'm more concerned with what you said there about how it's everything at grassroots level that's going wrong. Because once that starts,
mm,
that's hard to rectify, and it makes you wonder why it's happening. Because Italians are a bit like South Americans, aren't they? They're nuts about football. I mean,
yeah,
they play it on the streets. You got natural street footballers. So what's going wrong there? That you've got wonderful talent that's then not manifesting itself on the international stage. Because let's
mm,
come on. I mean, just some glorious teams over the years with fabulous, fabulous players. So for them not to qualify potentially for a third World Cup, it's just something's going really badly wrong. When you think how good they were in the Euros when they played us and that team, but World Cup seems to be. It just seems to be like a curse, like a bit of a voodoo for them of late, doesn't it? They
mm.
just can't get, and they play terribly as well.
But this goes to another big root of the FIFA corruption scandal for me. When the World Cup was extended from 32 to 48, okay, so the rudimentary maths, there's 16 more places available. They made 2, possibly 3 more places available for Europe, but they made 8 places available for Africa and CONCACAF, right? So Italy were never going to get an easy run. And yet, with all due respect, Curacao are there, Haiti are there, Cape Verde are there. You look at South America, oh my God, they've got 6 places out of 9 qualifications. You almost can't fail to qualify. And it's just steeped in. We're making the game a global game. We're making the game more accessible to world kind of exposure. But I'm telling you now, a World Cup without Italy is a poorer World Cup historically than
You're also stacking the deck, aren't you? You're also
Kosher.
hitting the deck, so you're weighting it in favour of lesser countries. So you want those countries to qualify, but and I hate it, but you're giving them a helping hand in terms of the weightings and how many qualifying spots there are. So
Yeah,
you're not doing it with any integrity. It's strongly weighted that out of those 9 places, you've got a very good chance, and it
yeah,
shouldn't be that way. It should. The sporting integrity is slowly being eroded on every level,
yeah.
and what I find staggering, mate, is it's being done in plain sight. Everyone knows it's being done. And
Mm,
what really worries me is it's just everyone's silent. And I don't mean that. I mean people like me and you, and we know plenty of people who are on this bandwagon who we're in contact with and supporting and getting behind who are absolutely the same. But fans need to start getting behind this and speaking up. And
mm.
if they don't, the game's gone. It's already gone in many ways in terms of, trying to saturate the game in so many levels. But to weight it and rig it in such a way is just deeply concerning. And we'll get on to the next thing on that terms in terms of seedings, because that's
Well,
rigging the deck.
that's the bit
It's
that I
rigging
want to
it.
feed into. So not only are they making it easy if you get to a World Cup if you are a smaller nation,
Smaller
and,
nation.
potentially by conversely tougher for a more traditional nation like Italy. Um, they are once you are qualified for the World Cup, and the draw is this week, next week, or very soon. Tell us about the seedings for the World Cup, Dom, because that is an absolute bloody disgrace on every level that you've just shared
Yeah.
with me.
So basically, there's now seedings. So there's been given a top four: Spain, Argentina, France, and England, and those top four will not face each other until at least the semi-finals. And it's been created to hopefully create blockbuster games later in the tournament and from semi-final stage onwards. So again, that's rigging the deck. It's basically saying we ideally want these teams in the last four because we think that'll be a better spectacle for people. Well, I'll tell you right now, everyone, if Curacao got to the semi-finals, I'd be there with knobs on trying to watch that. I think everyone in the world would be queuing up to watch that. I would rather watch that because regardless of how they've got there, and they've probably got there honourably. It's not their fault. It's not up to them that they've had a favourable draw system. If you look at them as a nation, they've done fantastically to get there, just like Haiti have, like Cape Verde have.
Yeah,
But then when they're there, FIFA quietly say, oh, "We're so pleased you're here. We're brilliant that you're part of the spectacle." But we really don't want you anywhere near the quarterfinals, semi-finals, if we can possibly help it.
yeah,
What is seedings about? Why on earth should there be seedings at a World Cup? It's like, here's your teams, just get on with it. There
yeah.
shouldn't be no. I mean, I'm not being funny, but do England deserve to be seeded? No, absolutely not. No, what right have England got to be seeded? They've not exactly pulled up trees to deserve a
So,
seeding, have they?
so the four England, France, Argentina, and
Spain are the top seeds. Argentina are second. France are third. England are fourth. And they will
okay,
guarantee they will not play. They can't meet each other at all. And FIFA will probably turn around and say, "Yeah, but look, you've got all these teams. They could play Portugal. They could play Brazil. They could play any other team, Germany,
Germany.
any
Yeah,
other credible team and get knocked out." But it's like, well, why have seedings at all? Then it's just don't do it. Just don't
yeah,
do it. These teams should be able to meet each other whenever, absolutely whenever. But they don't want it to happen. They don't want that. They don't want the chance of it happening as soon as the groups finish, and all of a sudden it eradicates some of the big teams.
yeah.
So it's rigging the deck again. It's just basically saying, pure and simple, we're bent and we don't care.
I think in the round of 16 at World Cup last one, it might have been Qatar, where France and Argentina, no, France and Argentina met in the final, didn't they?
Mm.
But did France and Argentina meet in Russia in the round of 16? And one big team's eliminated. Well, so be it. That's how the draw works, isn't it?
That's
You
how
know
it
what I mean?
works. Yeah,
But FIFA have looked at it. So I love what you said there, by the way. They're saying to the smaller nations and the emerging nations and the no chance of winning it nations,
yeah,
thanks for being here. We really appreciate the efforts to get here. We're delighted to have you at the party. But actually, at 12 o'clock, you can all piss off and the proper party starts without you. So,
yeah,
what's the point in being in the party in the first place if all the fun's happening further down the line when you're not invited? It's
yeah.
just a piss take. But it's just typical of FIFA getting what they want. And you know what? And I'll say this as an England fan. I hope England win the World Cup. We're going to do a pod on what our chances are at some point in the future. Of course, I hope England win the World Cup. Wouldn't it be lovely if France, Spain, and Argentina get nowhere near the last four? Wouldn't it be fantastic if they didn't?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be fantastic if it was England, Holland, Curacao, and Cape Verde? It's never going to happen.
That's
But
gonna happen, mate.
the reality is you've got no God given right in a World Cup of true integrity and transparency to be seeded. I mean, England, when they've done really well in tournaments under Gareth Southgate, to be fair, have had a really good run because they've had a really, they've played Sweden, Colombia, tough games, that kind of thing. But they've not played anyone really, really tough until the semi-final. The reality of that was just accidental due to the draw and how the draw worked out. But to give them a favourable draw, to give them a favourable seed, to give them a chance of being the poster boy last four is an absolute disgrace. And you know what it's based on? International TV rights and money. It's a
It is.
disgrace.
It's all about
Bring
that,
on.
mate. And it's just another little thing. I mean, we've covered multiple strands of this just in this pod, but all these small strands, they all chip away at sporting integrity. There's no sportsmanship. It's FIFA orchestrating it on their terms of what they want, and it is
Mm.
all about maximizing their money streams. That's
Yeah.
what it's about, and it's absolutely tragic.
When you look at sporting integrity as well, they've given the World Cup. Okay, it's in Canada, it's in Mexico. We all know that the bulk of it's in the USA. So they've given the World Cup to a country whose main soccer franchises play in a league that is bereft of any competition. There is no relegation, no promotion. They don't value the fear. They don't value the what's the word? Not the trepidation, but yeah, it's that kind of word in terms of there is no consequence for being shit if you play in the MLS, because you know what,
Yeah,
next season you'll still be shit and you'll still be playing in the MLS, and no one's getting relegated. Jeopardy was the word I was looking for. But they've given a World Cup to a country where sporting integrity in this particular sport, and actually in all sports, because there's no relegation in the NFL, there's no relegation in the NHL hockey, there's no relegation in basketball. They run their sporting businesses as a business first, and entertainment second, and as a sport third. And they've given the World Cup to a country where that's the norm. So what they're now trying to do is fix it and rig it so that the Americans, who in most cases don't give a shit about soccer, will understand that, hey, there's every chance here because it's been fixed in favour of, the big boys, and it'll be entertainment first. Well, you know what? I want to see Haiti play Curacao in the final. Sod England, Haiti Curacao in the final, and I'd love
yeah.
it. I'd love it, and Infantino would be choking if that happened, wouldn't he? Never going to
I would.
happen.
Do you
Like,
know what? And I hate to say this, mate, but if at the expense of England, it meant you could see Infantino's face when they all get knocked out. I mean, he just looks like a horrible man.
he
I mean,
does.
he's got a face you want to smack, hasn't he? Really, let's
Yeah,
face it. And
yeah.
what coupled to this, it's slightly separate, but it is linked. Is the most recent weekend, so the USL in America, which is the United Soccer League, which is separate to the MLS, and this is a league that is now wanting to bring in promotion and relegation. They're wanting to bring in a new division and have proper promotion relegation. But this is a league that is absolutely on its knees because it's not run properly. So it's got part-time players that aren't even earning a living wage. They can't even afford to pay their rent, these players.
Wow.
They've got no healthcare, no stable contracts. They've got, no decent working conditions, no dignity, basically. So they've got no motivation. So they're basically playing for the love of the game. They want to better themselves, but the league is prohibiting them from doing it. So last weekend, all the players in the USL wore these T-shirts that basically said "Pro Rel," which is promotion relegation. Try pro standards first, basically protesting and pleading with the investors of these clubs in this league. Please just give us the tools to do our job properly. So even owners aren't making money out of the USL. It's the investors and the executives who are cleaning up and making money off it, but disregarding the actual product and disrespecting the product. So, for me, the USL actually has potential to be quite a compelling format if
Mm.
the right people run it and actually want to give the players the proper respect and the proper money, proper contracts. All of a sudden you could transform a league and get these clubs to be taken seriously, to have more integrity, for the league to have integrity, for people to step up and say, look what the USL are doing. Look what the people who now run the SL are finally trying to do for its players. If you've got players protesting with T-shirts like that, what's that saying about your product? And this has got nothing to do with the MLS, by the way. I mean, no one cares about the MLS. I mean, let's
No.
face it, that's just a dead spectacle. That's just, it's like having it's just franchise football. It's like franchising a McDonald's or a
Yeah.
Wendy's or something like that. No one cares. Yes, the supporters might be passionate. Yes, they might have reasonably good fans who attend the games. But as a spectacle, not saying the fans aren't passionate or don't want to buy into the teams and don't love these teams, but what you're buying into, it's just dead. So, yes, it's in Mexico, yes, it's in Canada, yes, it's in America for the coming World Cup, but it's predominantly in America. It's predominantly being
Mm.
promoted America-wise. But what are FIFA doing to make sure that actually we're FIFA, we run football. If we have any integrity and we want to run the game the right way, we should be making sure that leagues like the USL are treating its players right. So if we're making all this money, why don't we invest this money into the USL or make sure they've got fit and proper owners, fit and proper investors and executives? Is that not what FIFA's job is, to make sure that actually, if you want to try and promote football globally and get it working properly, that's what you should be doing? Are they doing any of that? No. Are they interested
No.
in any of that? No. Are they commenting on any of that? No. They don't care. For them, it's just an individual spectacle to rinse the public and rinse the fans, make as much money, and then on to the next one. And that's
Well,
all their job is.
let's look at the history of that in the last two, this one and the next one. Okay, you're not telling me that Russia winning the World Cup in 2018 on the same day as that massive footballing nation Qatar were also awarded the 2022 World Cup. There wasn't something dodgy about that. I don't know. It felt slightly wrong to me
Mm.
that Russia, who are predominantly warmongers and were always likely to be warmongers, but were run like a kind of Stalinist gulag with Putin in charge, who probably spent a bit of money with the FIFA officials in 2010, 11, 12, whenever the award was coming out. Qatar, I don't even know if Qatar have qualified for this World Cup. I don't think they have. Qatar, that world nation of football, where they've, human rights went out the window, construction, health and safety went out the window. They've been awarded it. They've now given it to America, a country that doesn't give a shit about soccer, as evidenced by what you're saying, and they've got no integrity in how they run their soccer franchises or indeed their next level down franchises. And then I do believe it's in Saudi next, isn't it? Is that right?
I think it's the one after. I can't remember who the next one is. Is it? I think it's the next one. Is it in Europe? Is it Portugal and other nations have the next one? I think it's the one after that is Saudi
Okay.
Arabia. I
All right.
think.
Well, I can
But
accept I can
yeah,
accept Portugal. I can accept Portugal, but I really don't see how, having had it in Qatar in 2022, that within three cycles of the World Cup it goes back to the Middle East and goes to Saudi. Oh, hang on a minute. What are Saudis? Oh, God, they're rich, aren't they, the Saudis? Yeah, they're rich.
yeah,
Lots of money. Rolex watches, first class this, first class that. I don't know. I'm suggesting it might be evidenced on that basis. I don't know. The whole thing stinks. And for those who've not listened to it, our episode 16 of this particular podcast, I was looking for that a second ago if I look distracted. Our episode 16 of this podcast looked at the disgrace of World Cup ticket prices. So we're not going to go over that old ground. But I would say to you, if you think FIFA are bent, I actually posted, how bad do you have to be to make Sepp Blatter look credible? And we got a hell of a lot of love for that particular
yeah,
episode from people who just think this lot are bent, corrupt, and beyond reproach. And you know what? We started this episode with celebrating Scotland and Norway and Wales, Republic of Ireland, and Ireland, and England to a certain extent. But we're finishing on a sour note. This lot are bent. I, at this moment, I'm not excited about the World Cup. I might be excited when it gets to the last 16. If England is seeded properly, obviously, I want to make sure we get to that because we're seeded. I couldn't give a shit about some of these 48 nations who are playing, in the World Cup, and I don't care. And the conditions are going to be terrible because the heat. It's going to be, you know, loads of dead rubber games, as they call them, that mean
yeah.
nothing. And until it gets to the cutting edge of it, last 16, last eight, I'm really not that inspired. And one of the things I'm not inspired about is because FIFA are running it and they're doing my absolute nothing.
Yeah, I'm the same. And the more you, the more you delve into all this, and the more like, especially when you're involved in a podcast like we are now, and we start researching things, and you start looking at things in football more in depth. It is going to leave a sour taste watching the World Cup because you know all the things that are going on. So it doesn't feel like it's a pure sporting spectacle anymore.
No.
I was looking very quickly. I was looking at where the origins of 32 and 48 and possibly 64 teams comes from. So, I didn't realise this, but there was only 16 teams until 1982 when it was increased to 24, and it only
Yeah,
became 32 teams in 1998.
yeah,
But I don't think anyone really noticed because what you were getting was a true sporting spectacle of the clubs of the countries, sorry, that had absolutely deserved to win their groups and
yeah.
got through to the finals. And yes, there's lots of people who've been out there saying, "Isn't it great? It's expanding it because then you've got all these other nations who can potentially qualify. And isn't it great for them?" Yeah, I get that to a degree, and if it elevates them and gives them more funding from their countries and supports their federations, maybe that's a good thing. But in terms of where it actually sits spectacle wise, is as we've just briefly covered, FIFA only want you there as a token gesture. They don't
Yeah.
want you to then succeed beyond the group stage, and they pretty much know that you won't. So
Hmm.
you look
What's
at
the point?
where we are
What's the
now.
point, Dom? What's the point? I've got a quick question right for you.
Yeah,
Do you think it'll come to a point where FIFA, in a money-making guise, decide that there's a two-tier World Cup? So you've got 48 teams. You've clearly got maybe 16 of those who've got any chance of getting, deep into the tournament, whoever those 16 might be.
yeah,
So the ones who are not, the make weights, the number makeups, etc., etc. When they get knocked out, it wouldn't surprise me if in 2 or 3 rotations of the World Cup they have a separate tournament. So we have like almost like the the Champions League, and then if you don't get through the qualifying rounds,
yeah,
at the same time we're going to put you into what is effectively the Europa League version of the World Cup, because that'll prolong it, make more money, and give the chance of a Curacao to win that type of
yeah,
tournament. And that might sound far fetched. I guarantee it won't be in my lifetime because of a certain age. But younger viewers and listeners, watch out for the fact that as a money making guys, that's got legs. I'm sorry. Oh, FIFA, if FIFA haven't thought of it and they listen to this podcast like they're ever going to do, I hope I haven't given them an idea. But it wouldn't surprise you if they did that just to prolong the existence of their money making tournament. And the World Cup will last 3 months, won't it? And
yeah. And do you know what? Worryingly, you've got a point, and you can see them doing it because they'll think just that. Oh, that'll incentivize fans to buy in and suddenly think that their country's got a chance of winning the secondary World Cup.
yeah,
Well, seriously, who gives a shit? No proper fan should care about stuff like that. You should just look at it and think we're being rinsed again, so they're going to rinse us even more. And
yeah,
you know, we won't go back on it, but anyone interested, go back to episode 16. But coupled with everything we said today, plus the fact that fans can't afford it. Strangely, some fans have only just started to pay attention to how much World Cup ticket prices are now that their teams have qualified. I
yeah,
was I was on social media observing a lot of Scotland fans talking on socials about how shocked they were when they suddenly realised what the prices were. I mean, not that you've got a chance of getting them, but if you did, just going to a game, maybe it's with your other half or your son or your daughter, or heaven forbid, a family of four. It's literally like probably the cost of your salary for a year to go and watch
yeah,
a game of football.
yeah.
It's just wrong, mate. It's just
Disgraceful.
wrong. Nothing should be about the money. It should be about the love and integrity of the game.
There's the final. That's a great way to finish, mate. Nothing. It's about the love and integrity of the game, not money. Thank you for that as a finishing statement, Dom. We're going to finish the episode on that. I think it's a really great way to challenge and to talk about FIFA and another world football disgrace. Ronaldo, don't forget you're on probation, mate. So we got to be careful how you behave because you're the only person in the world on football probation. Don't know how that happened. Next time, we're going to talk about what we were going to talk about on this episode, but we're doing a bit more research into it. It's a really interesting subject, but we want to get it right. It's the athletic club player model, bringing players in from their location. Could it work elsewhere? What would it take to find out? What does it mean for academies and that kind of thing? That'll be episode 26 coming out next week. In the meantime, thanks again, Dom, for your co-hosting. I know a lot of passion on this one because we both hate the idea of corruption and we both hate the idea of what FIFA are doing to a game that we both love passionately. So thanks again, mate. We'll see you on episode 26 next week.
Pleasure, mate. Enjoyed it. Yeah, can't believe it. Episode 26. Yeah, long way to continue, mate. Loving it. And thanks for everyone for supporting us. And we hope you enjoy this one. Lots to get into. And please leave your comments and your thoughts on this one because we'd love to know what you think.
Excellent. Cheers, mate. See you soon.
Cheers, mate. Thanks, Nick. See ya.